Great. Sorry about that. We are just sharing host functions so that we can run this more smoothly. So firstly, I was really happy with the quality of your message box submissions. If you haven't submitted your message box yet, please do send it to me via email. There's one or two people who haven't done it yet, but that's not a problem because I had an issue with my email account at the end of last week. What I really recommend that you do is that you look at the message boxes created by your peers. There's quite a diversity. Some of you have quite complex subjects that at initial glance, it's really challenging to understand, like the focus or the various issues or the problems that you're trying to tackle. But then that just means that you're searching for a key, a hook to the communication to make it much more effective. So please don't worry about that, but look at how others are communicating their work on different topics. I think one of the valuable aspects of this course is the fact that you can see how your peers are communicating and also how people in different fields are trying to express their ideas more clearly. And I think the message box is really helpful for you. So if you're going to make a presentation, it might be a good start point to actually use the message box in the first place. If in the future you're going to be interviewed by a journalist, for instance, then preparing for that interview by using the message box is a really good start. So I highly recommend that you use that. I mean, I actually highly recommend this book. I have had colleagues that have actually purchased this book because they said, I'm going to have an interview with journalists. So I took your course and I remembered that there was a lot of really good advice in this book. And so I purchased it. And they gave me really good feedback. Now, of course, books are expensive, so please try to get it through the library. But all of the reading that I'm sharing with you on this course is just to help you on your journey in terms of improving the effectiveness of your communication. The other, another point which a student raised with me was they emphasized that they're taking this course because they want to make better academic presentations. And so the response was, well, Pechakucha seems very nice, but if I need to make a presentation to my professor or to my colleagues or in an academic circle, what kind of techniques or skills do I need? And I think that one thing to recognize is that this course isn't purely about that. It's really about putting you on that journey, the journey to become a more effective science communicator, of which academic presentations are one part. However, the techniques that you use and the techniques that you're introduced to will also are applicable, and they will improve the overall quality of your presentation. So in academia, there's a basic model for most academic presentations. It's called IMRAD, I-M-R-A-D, and that is introduction, the method, results, and the discussion. So generally, when you're presenting your thesis or when you're presenting your research, regardless of the field, you're following this IMRAD model. But actually, what's really important is that the best scientists employ a range of different techniques to make that IMRAD model, that presentation, much more engaging. And also you have to recognize that your colleagues are very familiar with the IMRAD model, but they're also quite bored with it. So if you want to really engage and connect to your professor, to your colleagues, then really experimenting with different approaches is a really good way forward, whether that's using more sort of emotive photography to support your argument, whether that's through storytelling, or whether it's through sort of really focusing on key issues. It is possible to apply these different techniques that we'll cover in the course in an academic presentation. The other thing is, and this is something that many scientists do, is that they focus on a very engaging, a very visual presentation. And then because they're expecting scientific questions from their audience, from their professors, they have a technical paper or discussion paper that they hand out separately from their presentation. And so they can say, for instance, if you anticipate the questions, and if you want more detail on this, then please look at page 5 of my technical paper. So there's lots of ways that you can actually work around the formula, this IMRAD formula, to differentiate your communication from that of your colleagues. So don't expect just straightforward, here are the 5 best tips to make a great, fantastic scientific presentation. That's not the purpose of this course. The purpose of this course is to really get you thinking, how can I be more effective as a communicator? Great. So what can we expect today? It's in 2 parts. The first part, we're going to play a game together. It's called the Thing from the Future game. And that will probably take us the whole session. And then we'll have a break. And when we come back, I'm going to give you a little talk on framing and representation, and also using things like metaphors. You've been given some readings. So for instance, I shared with you a reading from this book. This is George Lakoff. George Lakoff writes extensively on framing. And again, it's another book for you to put down on your reading list and to think about, oh, maybe at some point I need to read this. But framing is everywhere, all around us, in science communication, but it's also in politics. The other concept is much, much more difficult. It's representation. So I gave you a reading by Jen Webb on representation. Now, representation is a concept that you'll find extensively covered in media studies. So someone who's working in television, in journalism, in the movies and so on, they learn about representation, because it's really, really important about how you present an idea, how you represent an idea, because you're, in a sense, it's an abstraction of reality. And so it can be used very, very effectively. And it's also all around us. Everything we watch on television is a representation. So knowing the theory underpinning that really helps you when you're communicating. There's lots and lots of books on representation. This one is very heavy, very philosophical. I'm not pointing to the work of Stuart Hall, but again, you can go deeper and deeper into these subjects in your own time. So imagine this course is like an onion. So we are looking at the outside skin of the onion, but you can peel away the layers and you can go deeper and deeper into framing. You can go deeper into representation. You can go deeper into storytelling, deeper into the use of metaphors or photography. It really depends on your interest. But what it really says is that the more you dig in, the more you can find, and the more you'll be able to improve your presentations. So are there any questions? Yeah, everybody's okay with that? Okay, so I want to now begin by sharing my slides and talk about the thing from the future game. Okay, so I'm hoping you all have one of these. I sent it beforehand. So you all have this sheet with you, because you're going to need it. And what we're going to do is we're going to break you up into groups. And then in the group, you're going to work on this game together. But if you don't have this, then just use a piece of paper and work on it. But I want to explain how the game works first. So yeah, before I do that, though, just to let you know that some mechanics of this. Firstly, we're registering your participation week by week. that I've mentioned the message box. Videos are available. So I don't know if you've had the chance yet to go to our learning management system, but the video recording of the class is online. I did some editing. I cut out little bits, but basically the substance is all there. And if you need to catch up or you want to cover some points, please go and watch the video. They're pretty short, pretty focused. There's also a discussion forum on the learning management system where you can introduce yourself. And so far, only two of you have. So I really encourage you to go to the forum, introduce yourself. There's some instructions of what we're looking for. And then also comment on two of your peers, what they're interested in or what their observations were. So please use the forum. The other thing that I want to highlight at the start of this class is that next week is a holiday. There's a national holiday in Japan. So we'll take a 1 week break and then we'll be back on the 6th of May. So here, just to remind you of the course structure. So we're now in session 3, 22nd of April, and we've got session 4 on framing, metaphors, and representation. So on the 6th of May, I talk about resonating with your audience, which is really prepping you for your Pechakucha. And actually at that time, we will also give you some time to work on your Pechakucha presentations. However, I should say that on the learning management system, I've already shared a description of the assignment and also the worksheet for the Pechakucha. So you can start working on that now if you like, especially since we have a break coming up. So, you've got 2 weeks. Why not start thinking even now about what you might present in the Pechakucha exercise? And that will take place on the 13th, but please remember you need to submit your video recording by the 10th of May. So that's the first half of the course. I won't go into the second half of the course right now. So why are we playing games? Well, the idea is to try to get you to unleash your creativity. Creativity is a bit like doing exercise, believe it or not. The more you try creative exercises, the better you get at it. And lots of people say, oh, I'm not creative. I don't do anything creative at all. My friend's a photographer, another one plays music, but I don't really have any creative hobbies. I don't think that's really accurate. And actually, I believe that creativity isn't something that is a natural talent some people have and other people don't. I think so what is it? So creativity is about, using your imagination or coming up with original ideas. And so we're playing this game to just give you an opportunity to use your imagination. But that's something you could be doing whenever you're communicating your research or whenever you're making a presentation, is that you could be trying to create something new, trying to come up with an original way of communicating your ideas. Now, you probably don't know this guy. He's from a group called Monty Python, who were very famous in the 1970s as comedians. But what was interesting about them is that they didn't just do comedy, but they also made movies, they write books, and so on and so forth. And he studied creativity in depth. And his basic idea is that creativity is about a state of mind. It's about a willingness to play. So when we're children, we're very creative and we play a lot. But as we get older, we become less creative and we become less playful. So just rediscovering the joy of play is a really important element in creativity. So this is the game that we're going to play right now, the thing for the future. It was developed by Stuart Candy, and the aim is to use these cards, to use a set of cards to generate interesting, funny, or thought-provoking articles and artifacts or products from the future. So it's not a product that exists right now. It's a product that could exist in the future. And you have some creative prompts to help you do that. So this is the sheet that you've received. And what you do is you'll be given access to a bunch of cards. And I have examples here. So you're going to get this list of set of cards for you to choose. And then the cards cover different areas. So they look like these little colored cards here. And there's an arc card, a terrain card, an object card, and a mood card. And they're your prompts. They're what you're going to use to influence you when you're designing your product. And then you write a short description of what it is, what this thing from the future is, and then do a sketch of it. So actually doing a sketch is something else we don't often do. And people say, oh, I can't draw, I'm terrible. But just try, just have a go. Right, so these are the 4 basic cards. This arc, then there's the terrain, which isn't going to be split in 2 like this. There's just one single prompt on that. The object, in this example, it's a postcard, and then a mood, a feeling that you get, or people get from the product. So what is the arc? The arc is the type of future that is coming, and then how far away it is. So you'll actually see in the arc card, it generally says something like, for instance, here, grow, and in 60 years from now. And maybe this one it says discipline, a generation, 1 generation from now. So you have to look at that small print as well, just to see what the time frame is. And the main arcs are growth. So the future has progress has continued. Collapse, society has collapsed and fallen apart. Discipline, so we have a very orderly, coordinated society. And then the next one is transformation. So there has been this profound historic evolution, revolution that has occurred. So those are the 4 main arcs there. And then object, there's a very wide range of objects. So this one is a tube. There's a postcard. There's many, many different examples in there. But it's the focus of your imagination. So you're thinking, oh, I have to come up with an idea for something that's a tube. Yeah. And does that reveal something about the future? You have to think, connect those ideas up. Terrain. So you will only get 1 card for the 1 item for the terrain, rather than this one, which shows 2. But it's the thematic context or the location. So in this instance, the location is grandma's house. However, the other possibility is you'll get a terrain which is socialism. So it's a thematic context there. So you think, oh, tube, 30 years from now, socialism. What is that? What am I going to come up? What kind of product am I going to come up with? And then the final one is mood. So mood, it sort of suggests some kind of experience that thing might give to people in the future. So a tube, 60 years from now, socialism, feeling of delight. What could you come up with that encapsulates all of that, those ideas? So here's an example. This is an example I found online. So the person has got a card of grow, that's the arc. They've taken education. The object is a postcard. The mood is excitement. And they've come up with this idea of a postcard that's from the 30 years in the future, which is somehow comes back to us today, talking about what the world is like and what you can expect from there. So it's an interesting idea, but maybe you can come up with much more creative examples. So what we'll do is you'll go into groups, and we're going to give you each group a sheet which has different card options, and then someone in your group can share that with everybody, and then you will pick one. So you'll say, okay, well, I'm going to go for postcard. And then you all agree and divide. And then what you do is you sit down and you fill in. You fill in your sheet. Takes maybe 15 minutes, depends. Your group moderator should try to make sure you keep just to that time. And then once you've all finished, you start to share. So you should just say, okay, here, my cards were here, here, here. And my object is this. So I'm going to explain what it is, and this is what it looks like. So, and then maybe you can give some feedback. Oh, that's a great idea. Or, oh, I didn't expect that, etc., etc. This is an example. This is an example of a student who took my course in 2019, and her arc was collapse. Her terrain was drones. Her object was an instrument, and the mood was rationality. And you can see that she's come up in a world that has collapsed. They've got this drone that delivers packages to people in need. It's kind of interesting, nice idea, and a lovely little picture, a little sketch to show that idea. So, these arc and mood, they're a bit like a frame, if you like. So for instance, grow and delight together. It's very positive. So you just think, what if you change that frame? What if it wasn't delight? What if it was anxiety? Completely changes the perspective that you have on what grow is all about. So that's the task. Does anybody have any questions? I guess the biggest challenge for us is to get the groups up and running. So I actually have a Dropbox which has, and I'm going to put it on for everybody, this link so you can go to the Dropbox, and then you can select the image for your group, and then one of you shares that screen with the rest of your group. So it's basically the screens. Let's have a look. I want to see if I can, yeah. It's going to look a bit like this. Let me share my screen with you. One more time. Share screen. Yeah. So you can see that. You're going to have something like this. And then in your group, you just say, okay, I'm going for slogan. And then somebody else goes for instrument. Someone goes for implant. Someone goes for lotion. Someone goes for mask. Someone goes for festival. And then you keep this up and you just basically write them down here. So I'm slogan, and then next is the terrain, the arc, and the object. You can see the object and also terrain and so on. They're all in there. Okay. Adam, have you had any success in setting up the groups?
Yeah, so we've got 8 groups of 4 and 1 group of 5.
Okay.